This is CG Ruthless Sports. I will be brutally honest. Ain't nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at you with another video.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cowboys Corner. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me. As soon as you sent me the DM, I was like, absolutely, let's go. Let's do this. I don't know you from Adam, but I'm always looking to talk football. I don't care what fan you are. If you could talk ball, let's talk ball.
Yeah, for sure, man. Where can they find you on social media platform?
Yeah, underscore Cowboys Corner right here on Twitter and Cowboys Corner right here on YouTube. There is a new channel coming up. I don't know who that guy is, but it's Cowboys Corner Talk. Not affiliated with that at all. So make sure it's just Cowboys Corner if you want to find me.
Oh, man, that's for sure, man. Like, let's talk about how you definitely established your channel. Like, what got you into this YouTube community, man?
Yeah, I've been on YouTube for 8 years. I probably put about maybe 40 videos a year on here. Not a big time, video maker or editor or anything like that, but it's all football. I've met a lot of awesome people here. I started YouTube the day DeMarcus Ware got released. I think it was like March 13th, 2014. And I've been on YouTube since, making videos every season since then. And John Shango, a lot of people just know him as Shango. He's a good buddy of mine. I got to meet him plenty of times at training camps and things of that sort. And he was a big motivation for me to just put my opinion out there just because he did it so well. And John Shango is a big tribute to why I'm here making YouTube videos and collabing with you.
Yeah, man, that's the best part, man. Like, started my channel for at least almost 2 years. What got me into doing YouTube was based by John Chapman. John Chapman had one of the best breakdown films. Like, he's one of those guys I definitely enjoy watching the films and all that stuff. Then it started coming around with the Rombos of the world, and then quite a few other content creators I started bumping into, and then a lot of good ones, it doesn't have to be in my fan base, but I've seen quite a few great content creators from the Eagles and then quite a few good ones from the Cowboys, starting to get to know everybody else slowly, man. I'm starting to get to know all these little Detroit Lions YouTubers like that one you just saw in the video. And then there's quite a few good ones out there. I'm starting to work a good relationship. And then I started meeting up with some NFL players on my show. I had my first NFL guest was Mike Rump, who was the Miami University DB coach.
Nice.
And then the biggest guest in my entire YouTube career was Julian Peterson.
Okay. That's pretty cool, dude. You keep working, keep striving, man. I'm definitely going to be a fan watching you from a distance and keep getting those players and those coaches on here and keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be good at it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then so what's the thoughts of your Dallas Cowboys, man? What they're doing in the offseason lately, man?
Yeah, no, like when people, get mad that Cowboys are, and when I say people, I mean Cowboy fans. They're dead. You got to poke them with the stick. They Cowboys really believe in signing their own players. Since Stephen Jones took over, I would say with Brandon, I think Stephen Jones probably been doing this since Brandon Carr came over here from the Kansas City Chiefs on the 5-year deal. I think it was $12 million back then. That was a lot of money for a corner, and it kind of bit him in the butt. And I think Brandon Carr, even though he played every game he was supposed to play as a Dallas Cowboy, they didn't get that production they wanted out of him. Miles Austin made who Miles Austin was over Brandon Carr. And I don't know why they brought him in here thinking this guy was going to be gold and, talk about the Odell catch and getting burnt and not tackling play. For whatever reason, Brandon Carr against the Detroit Lions wasn't a good Brandon Carr. He was a Brandon broke down Carr is what he was. And it just didn't work out. And I think Stephen Jones took that and it was like, okay, I'm not doing that ever again. And we just been signing, bridge players, so to speak. They try to get and milk anything they can, like guys out of Jeremy Mincy and George Selvey and Vincent Mayowa and all these small agent, free agent signings that they've done over the years. And they see that it's worked better than what Brandon Carr gave them. So they're like, oh, we don't got to do that because these guys, we can milk them just for a little bit longer in their career, and we can get some production out of them on the cheap side. And then on top of that, we can sign our own guys. And that's what they've done for many years.
Yeah, usually you want to go with the proven commodity. You want the guys who fit your system. You don't want to go for those big old flashy names. Those big old flashy names doesn't always turn out to be success unless they fit the system.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. I know, Giants is a big-time Cowboys rival. They spent $200 million over the course of 5 years beefing up their defense, and Tony Romo and a little bit of Dak Prescott went in there and just tore them up. So, you can spend all the money you want, but you just got to trust the process, trust the system, know that they're bringing guys in here, like you said, that's a good scheme fit and not overpaying and getting the pie, as Stephen Jones likes to say, out of whack, because it doesn't really work out for a lot of teams. Sometimes it does, sometimes it don't. But Cowboy fans just got to calm down. This is what they do.
Well, the expectation, man. Like, I see a lot of this talk about, oh, we got all the talent in the world. We can definitely go further to the Super Bowl. I keep hearing that every year, especially from a lot of Cowboy fans I know personally. They would just get a little too overhyped.
And that comes from the ownership. That just comes with being the number one franchise in the world. They think on paper, a lot of Cowboy fans think on paper, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. This is the year, this, that, and the third, but it's not the case. It takes a lot to win a Super Bowl. Only one team does it out of 32 every year. And I wish Cowboy fans would stop the hype. Media plays a big part in it. They'll blow up players left and right for no apparent reason. I keep hearing the name Simi Fehoko, who we drafted last year, and they went and got James Washington, and they paid Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb still on the roster. They're going to draft wide receivers. Simi Fehoko probably wanted to be on this team, but Cowboy fans have fascinations that this guy is supposed to be, sliced bread 300 years ago, and it's just not that. And I blame it on Cowboy Nation, the 80%ers, and they just don't know. They just hype it up, and when you got a big following base that the Cowboys have, it's easy to get sucked into that. But there's a lot of good YouTubers and a lot of good people that don't buy into that, which it's good.
Yeah, definitely is. Like, speaking of what caught me by surprise from the Cowboys perspective, like I didn't even think this would be like a discussion at first, Amari Cooper being traded. Like, I didn't think this would be the case.
When I don't know if you ever watch player interviews or anything, but when we lost to the 49ers, you watched the Amari Cooper post-game interview, and he looked sad. He knew that this was his last game with the Cowboys just because of the way the contract was set up. And so a lot of people that look at salary caps and look at this, that, and the third, they knew that Amari Cooper was going to be gone. There was a little hope that maybe they can, get something right, but they didn't want all that cap dollar on there. They're not scheming around him. So why have him on the football team? Amari Cooper's a damn good football player. They just didn't scheme around him. The targets, the numbers speak for themselves, and he's out of here. He's not a Cowboy no more, and it was expected on my end at least.
But did you expect a 5th-round pick at this point?
No, I did not. And big kudos to the Browns organization. They saved that first and that third to go get Deshaun Watson. They saved that 5th round to get Amari Cooper and swap the 6th. They did get, $20 million in cap space hit. Cowboys got $16 million in cash freed up on the books. So really the Cowboys wanted to trade that money versus the player because of production reasons. They didn't scheme around him, and in exchange get them a 5th round pick. So they really got money off the books and a 5th round pick is what they got.
Yeah, money on the books, yeah, because he was playing for $20 million a year on that contract. But the one kind of intriguing offseason that caught me by surprise was you guys were supposed to retain Randy Gregory, and then he made the last second move to sign with Denver. Like, what was that reaction of your thought when you saw that happen?
I was, as a competitor, and if you ever played football as a competitor, you know that people want to win. there's not a losing bone in the competitor's body. It's just I don't care if you're playing Uno, Skippo, Sorry. I don't care what you're playing. You don't want to lose. So the competitor instinct was like, he wants to go to Denver because he sees what they're building. They got Russell Wilson. They got a great offensive line. They got good receivers. They're building a good defense. He can contribute over there and possibly win something. I said, what has he won here? Yes, he's been suspended 90% of his career in Dallas, but what can he win? But with the broken promises that the Jones family gave him is why he went to Denver instead of signing with the Cowboys, because they talked him up before free agency started. Hey, you're number one priority. We're going to get you signed. You're number one. We got you. And they kicked the ball. They waited the last minute to sign him, and he felt disrespected in that. Doesn't matter that, Cowboys helped him so many times, and the reason why he got that big contract in Denver was because of the Cowboys sticking to him, because no other team besides Jerry Jones is going to do that with the player. I mean, you look at Charles Haley, right? Charles Haley with the 49ers, they said, I'm not doing this. He went to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones said, I'll do it. So it's kind of like that, not comparing the players to the same player, but just the circumstances they're in is almost kind of the same. And but it's still a business, and he felt disrespected, and he took his talents elsewhere. That's just part of the NFL.
That's definitely is. Then you guys decided to settle for Dante Fowler, which I thought was an interesting pickup.
Yeah, like I said, when they dip into the free agency, they're not looking for big guys. They could have gave Randy Gregory more money. Maybe he would have stayed, but I think the lines were crossed there. This is what they do. I think it's like a $5 million contract or something like that. So, they're going to try to milk Dante Fowler as much as they can. He likes playing under Dan Quinn, scheme fit. What Dan Quinn was able to do with J-Ron Kearse. Who would have thought J-Ron Kearse would have been something? Carlos Watkins, Brett Urban, these free agents that we brought in. Maybe they can just get that dry towel and squeeze some moisture out of it with Dante Fowler. Who knows? But, for whatever reason, players like to play for Dan Quinn. I get it. He wasn't a very good head coach, but you see his resume as a defensive coordinator, and it's a badass resume, and I really think he can milk something out of Dante Fowler if he stay healthy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I guess his scheme, the way he ran a defense in Seattle, has been the most successful blueprint that he's been able to run. That's what got him the head coaching job. But then when you look at the players, there's been links that maybe you guys might be interested in. Bobby Wagner. Like, what do you think of that possibility, man? He wants to go play for Dan Quinn, or maybe he just wants to see what's out there.
It's the same tune. We had, a guy that learned under Dan Quinn and Chris Richard as a pass coordinator here on our defense. He was a defensive back coach also. And it's always, I don't know what it is, but Legion of Boom players always, Cowboy fans just drool over them and want them here. We didn't get Earl Thomas. We didn't get Richard Sherman. If we didn't get those two, we're not getting Bobby Wagner. That's just what it is. I have no expectation of Bobby Wagner signing here. And that's just, it is what it is. But it's just a fascination Cowboy fans have that we got to get Legion of Boom players here because they're good, but it just doesn't work out and we don't get them.
Yeah, man. Hey, huge shout out to my boy Boys for Life, man. One of your guys. He says, "What's up, my man?" Yeah, dude. The thing about this playoff season, like the season recap, man. I was just looking forward to just playing you guys, man, because when you speak of the Cowboys and Niners rivalry, it gets talked about as the best rivalry in sports from the decades ago, but growing up as a kid, man, my family were Dallas Cowboy fans, and I was just the opposite guy, just rooting for the other squad. And, my mom would give me a hard time. My pops, man, they would give me a hard time. My cousins, everybody in the family who were just either Cowboy fans, very little of my family were either Niner fans. And this was the kind of week I was looking forward to when we played you guys. And then, I don't know, like for some reason, my mom even said it from the get-go. Like she said, I don't think we're going to beat you guys. And I said, why would you think that? Our quarterback sucks. And I guess for whatever reason, she lowered the expectation.
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to Boys for Life. He was a Dak fan at first. Then he came to the dark side, so to speak. I've been on the dark side since 2017, week 2, when we played the Seattle Seahawks. And, in 2016, Dak's rookie year, he was very spoiled. Tyron Smith and we had Larry and Travis Frederick and Zach Martin. We had Doug Free there. So that offensive line and that running game was just unstoppable. And Dak Prescott benefited from that. And then Doug Free retired. Ron O'Leary went to the Denver Broncos. And some things changed on the offensive line, and it was up to Dak Prescott to step up to the plate. And a lot of Cowboy fans will say he did. He has all the pass yards, number one off. That doesn't mean anything because when the ball's in his hands, he does not win. And I've seen that week 2, 2017. And people forget about all the offensive line players that we had. I mean, that was a badass offensive line we had in 2016. Turn the page in 2017, it was a different offensive line. And when you put pressure on Dak, and then he also had the ankle injury and death in the family and things of that sort, and it just never really coordinated. That's why we picked up Amari Cooper, was because Dak was struggling. And Dak Prescott is he's not the full reason, but he's a big reason why we can't beat good teams. Yes, it's great to go 6-0 in your division, but what's our division? It's the NFC least, and it's just that is what it is. But no, for sure, dude, I was looking forward to that 49ers game. I had a bad feeling all day we were going to lose because we had penalty after penalty after penalty. They never cleaned that up. Dak Prescott was not right since the Patriots game. And the defense, I trusted them. They were holding you guys to field goals and field goals and field goals. They scored a couple of touchdowns on us, but our offense just couldn't pick itself up and go. And if you watch that Kurt Warner film session, went for Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper and all these other guys and Kellen Moore, you'll see that they didn't even try to scheme to play against your defense, and that's what they've done when we had to play good teams. They just fold, and it's not good. It really ain't. And the Dolphins took a big dump against you guys, and you guys advanced and we didn't.
Yeah, the thing is, I would have thought maybe you guys would have fed more of Cooper the ball more, but I guess that's what kind of really hurt it down the stretch. And then, I don't know, something about some of you Cowboy fans think between Kellen Moore's play calling and some of the way he is. What's your criticism of him as a play caller?
No, I didn't like him as a quarterback's coach, and I didn't like him coming in as an offensive coordinator. And, again, Cowboy fans at the first of the year, oh, my God, Kellen Moore is the guru. He's a head coach. He's this, he's that. That fell off real fast. And I was on Cowboy Fan Talk's channel, and I said, dude, he's inconsistent. Yes, he's doing all this now. That's fine and pretty. But I said, give it time, and he's gonna screw up because that's what Kellen Moore does. I don't want Kellen Moore in Dallas. I don't want him as offensive coordinator. But unfortunately, it's the Cowboys offense, as Mike McCarthy calls it, and it's going to have to stay for probably till Dak's career is over, and as long as he's a Cowboy.
Yeah, when you speak of Dak Prescott, he has a solid resume when it comes to the regular season, but he's only won about 2 playoff games career total. So he's had his mostly the struggles when it comes to the playoffs. When it comes to the big game, this guy just chokes under pressure. Kind of the same way how we feel about Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't put up the flashy stats by any means, but when it comes to the playoffs, he'll win you a couple of games, then he'll choke at the end. But when you think about Dak Prescott's talent, like you said, it doesn't matter what kind of talent you bring around Dak Prescott. If that play calling from Kellen Moore it's pretty much gonna screw it up. It doesn't matter if it's Kirk Cousins that's your quarterback. It doesn't matter if it's Derek Carr at quarterback. I think the way Kellen Moore does the offense doesn't seem to fit the talent scheme of what you guys want to do.
No, I mean he'll have a good play here and there, but Dak Prescott has to have things perfect, and I know we had holding penalties on the offensive side of the ball, but Dak was third least in the NFL in sacks, and he was inaccurate. It was Tony Romo made a comment when he threw the ball to Michael Gallup that Michael Gallup had to be Michael Jordan in his prime to catch that football, and you hear Troy Aikman critique Dak's throwing this past year, and it's always been like that. And people are always saying on Twitter or this, what's wrong with Dak? What's wrong with Dak? What's wrong with Dak? This is who Dak Prescott is. You are just now seeing it. You are taking the Dak fold off, and you are seeing what I've been seeing since 2017. It's nothing new. This is who the quarterback is. And his footwork is horrendous. It was bad at Mississippi State. It hasn't really translated well to the NFL. He goes see a special quarterbacks coach down in Florida, and it's like cinder block feet with Dak Prescott, and he just can't get a lot of accurate throws in because of that footwork. It's ridiculous.
So that's been his thing, is his footwork. But other than that, he's a solid scrambler. But like you said, he's the one that kind of misses throws from time to time. But watching how you guys play, the offense on paper, it's good. You guys got a good receiving core. But then when I look at the difference, you guys are like very comparable between the Bengals receivers too. But it was kind of like a 50-50 between who were the better receivers until late in the season. I started seeing more of the Bengals receiver breaking in. But Cowboys receiver, you had Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and then you had CeeDee Lamb, those trios of 1,000-yard receivers, and those guys were like phenomenal. I'm like, especially your tight end, what's his name? Dalton Schultz was solid. Very solid. And then your running backs, besides Zeke, you had Pollard. That guy, Tony Pollard, was very solid. Like, he was a good receiving back, a good change of pace. Like, I don't know, something about Zeke Elliott. It's just like he doesn't seem like the same exact player as soon as you start getting more of the toll of the running duties, and you start to get injured. Running backs become like what they call a dime a dozen. Injuries start to toll in. I don't know. Like, how do you feel about Zeke as your running back going forward?
No, I'm still a big fan of Zeke. I really am, and just because his pass blocking, he sacrifices a lot to pass block. He had a knee injury this past year. He had a couple of big plays, big runs, but holding penalties. Doesn't matter who it was. If we had a 20-yard plus play from Zeke or from anybody, he got called back by holding penalties. He played with that knee injury, which that's the Cowboys' fault. You should have benched him if all it took was a couple of weeks to heal. He tried to battle through it. Didn't look like, the same Zeke, and that's what we got. But I think a healthy Zeke with a better offensive line, a disciplined offensive line, I think Zeke can get. I mean, he was almost at 1,000 yards this past year, and that's with a hurt knee. So, and the pass blocking still there. Dak Prescott really trusts him when it comes to pass blocking. But like you said, age, injury, wear, tear, the tread is very thin on Zeke. And but just what he brings besides the running game to the offense is phenomenal, and it's hard to replace a player like that.
Yeah, it is, especially the way he's played before, and it's hard to do that. But then when you look at as far as like your team in general, like when you look at going into the season, I mean, you guys were definitely the clear favorites to win the NFC East, no doubt. Like the way you guys were dominating that competition, the NFC East, they were just a bunch of Boy Scouts out there. The Eagles, they were just crap at that point. The Giants, they were just like little giants out there. The Washington well, you destroyed them like they were a piece of garbage. And I don't know, the competition was pretty much weak, but it was nothing compared to the NFC West. The NFC West, you can make an argument that all those four teams would easily be clear playoff teams just right off the bat, even if Seattle was struggling.
Yeah. The NFC East, there hasn't been a consecutive NFC East champion since I think 2003. I think the Eagles were the last to do it. And it's always just been a roller coaster. You never know who in the NFC who's going to take it. Eagles draft horribly. So that's why they are. Eli Manning wasn't Eli Manning as it late in his career. Daniel Jones, not the guy. So Cowboys been pretty fortunate that the Eagles draft horrible. The Giants are who the Giants are, and the Commanders and the Redskins are who they were. But the Redskins always gave us some tough competition, and the Giants too. But it seems like the Eagles did too. But when you got bad drafting and a bad organization and a bad quarterback playing like Daniel Jones and stuff, you're going to sweep that thing pretty easy. I thought Washington was going to play better than what they did this past year. I thought it was going to be a good matchup there, but 6-0 in the division was one of my bold predictions I put on Twitter. I just recently unpinned it because I'm getting ready for my new year, my 2022 season bold predictions. But I did have Cowboys going 6-0 because they're just bad organizations all the way around.
Yeah, that's a good bold prediction to look at it that way. If you were just saying it last year about going 6-0, some people would have just looked at you and say, man, you must be smoking. But then you were correct on that prediction. So you get the last laugh out of that prediction.
No one really said it. I think they all liked my bold prediction, but I don't know. I guess it is. No,
I'm just referring to like those other fan base, like the ones from your division. Maybe they're part of like.
No, I don't really talk to. I mean, there's Birdman. I like Birdman, but that's really the only one I talk to. And of course, my father-in-law is an Eagle fan. My blood brother, is a Giants fan, and one of my good best friends is a Commanders fan. So I mean, I talk NFC East a lot with some people, but they don't ever say too much because when you go 6-0, it kind of shuts them up.
Yeah, it does, especially if you just beat your division foes twice in a season and you beat your other one twice, it gives you the bragging rights and it gives you every bit to look forward to. But yeah, this division, the NFC West, is pretty tough, man. It was a dogfight. We had one of the worst records in the NFC West by far, and we were like the team that went further, even though the Rams beat us in the championship. But we look at it that way. Who can say that a team that went 2-4 in their division and went third place in their division and went to the NFC Championship game against the NFC West champs and the team that won the Super Bowl that year? You can't say that because a lot of teams can just look at us and say you guys shouldn't even be in the playoffs, but we were.
No, you guys got there, and I mean, if you get in the playoff bracket, you get in the playoff bracket. No matter how you get there. I mean, Giants were 9-7 both times in the last 2 Super Bowls. They got in the playoff bracket and they had the momentum. They ran with it. No matter where you are in the playoff bracket. I do like how the NFL expanded the playoff bracket, but if you get in there, you got to take advantage of it. And Cowboys didn't. 49ers did.
Yeah, usually, I guess. Do you like the fact that they're just adding that extra bracket just to get an extra team in that should have been in?
No, I like it just because there's more competition. I mean, you look what Cincinnati Bengals did and some other players or some other teams that went in there, as the 7th and 6th seed and stuff. I mean, they played well. I mean, a lot of those under seed teams knocked out, the number 1 seeds in both, I think in both conferences. So it's all good competition. It's all eye candy. You definitely want to see that and root for the underdog, so to speak. And I like the NFL's game plan there.
Yeah, you get more opportunities. You get to see a team that was like 7 seed. Maybe that 7 seed, maybe the number 7 is a lucky number for some people. Before, you would say the number 6 was. You get another opportunity to see a team. Then that number 1 seed team, when you think about that playoffs, the Packers and the Titans, they had a first round bye. And I guess the first round bye just didn't mean nothing anymore. Like, you figure that, man, it could have gave you home field advantage to stay healthy. But I guess for whatever reason, they were rusty. Mm-hmm. And watching how the Bengals won those playoff games, that was remarkable how they went from beating teams that they shouldn't have beat. They beat the Raiders, which I thought it was a no-brainer. They should be able to beat them. And then when it came down to the Titans, I'm like, damn, Joe Burrow got sacked like how many times? 9 times, and they still beat the number 1 seed team. And then they come into Arrowhead and win. And then they get further, but they were just this close. But, you look at it that way, they were just one of those underdogs throughout the offseason. Nobody was giving them respect during the offseason because they thought, they'll be last in that division, And I guess for whatever reason, they were just a hot team. And then that's what happened.
Yeah, when you're a well-coached team and when you're not. And Cowboys really haven't been a well-coached team because when it's those games where you got to win and get in, Cowboys have failed miserably at those. I mean, a lot of 8-8 seasons, things of that sort. So you look at Cincinnati Bengals and what they're able to accomplish and all the adversity they had to face, and Joe Burrow coming off an ACL, you could tell that's a well-coached team. Everybody bought in. They were the underdog all the way through, and they got into this. Yes, they lost the Super Bowl to a veteran quarterback and a damn good defense over there in L.A., but at the same token, I mean, you could tell they're well coached because they weren't out of that Super Bowl until the referees called a shitty-ass holding penalty on 55.
So let me ask you, as a football fan, since watching that Super Bowl, did you really think that that was a BS call? Did you really think that the Rams actually stole the victory, or you think they won fair and square?
No, they won fair and square. I mean, you'll never hear me complain about referees because that's just not what I do. And Cowboys were, you could say, Cowboys should have had offensive pass interference week 1 against the Bucks and Anthony Brown's against the Raiders. I mean, a lot of that was not PI. So I don't talk about that stuff because it's neither here or there. What I saw was perfect timing by number 55 for the Cincinnati Bengals, and they called holding on that. I thought that was a wish-wash play. They got refreshed the first down, half a distance to the goal, and they had more chances to do that. They had Eli Apple there. He was bound to break against Cooper Kupp anyway. And so with those extra chances, Eli Apple broke. They won the Super Bowl. It's fair and square, but the holding penalty against that linebacker shouldn't have been called, in my opinion. But it did get called. They won the Super Bowl.
Okay, so that's fair enough. So when you look at if you look into like the team's offseason, like as far as like your team, like what have you think overall as your team signing these players? Like I know there's quite a few players that you kind of let go for whatever reasons, but do you feel more optimistic that these are like good enough for you guys to feel confident for this coming season?
Yeah, like I said, we talked about Dante Fowler a little bit coming in here. I don't think that's a Randy Gregory replacement. And I don't really feel like the Cowboys liked the defensive line draft um, this way because they wanted to keep D-Law, restructure that deal. They wanted Randy Gregory really, 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 really bad. So I think they don't like what the draft board has to offer. Like I think they got Dante Fowler in here, but I don't think that's over. You might see some more pieces come in, or they might just draft somebody and you know plug and play and rotate because that's what Dan Quinn loves to do is rotate players on the offense side of the ball. Lost Amari Cooper. We lost. We cut Lyle Collins. Connor Williams is gone. You know, I don't know if you know this or not, but Randy Gregory and Connor Williams was 50 penalties combined, and those two players are no longer here. So you get those players out of here. There's 50 penalties you might not get next year. So there's good and there's bad, right? But I think offensive line is a big thing. Them not dipping into free agency for offensive line tells me they like somebody in the draft because the Cowboys, you got to give them credit. They do draft really, really, really well. And that's why they really focus on signing their own players. I've just seen we signed Jaron Kearse to a 5-year or to a 2-year deal, $5 million. So they like that safety position back there, which tells me they don't value a lot of safeties. With the safety class here in this draft is it's not that great. You know, you got the Notre Dame kid, but that's about it. And then let's see. So offensive line is a big target, running back, linebacker, D-line. Those are the positions of need for this football team. But as everybody knows, Cowboys draft best player available. So right now, I give their offseason right now a C plus just because they just signed Jaron Kearse, but they haven't got better since the 49ers lost. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, as far as my team's offseason, like I don't know, like I just okay, like you sign us a need at cornerback, fine, but I don't know, the price was a little bit too much for a guy that just wasn't a top tier, but maybe a top 15 cornerback, in my opinion. Like I've seen some games of this Travarius Ward guy, and he is aggressive, very feisty. I like that he's tall, but the ball hawk skills is something we've been lacking in the secondary for quite some time. Even when Sherman was in our secondary, it's just was something we were lacking for. But paying him for $14 million, I give it a B for that. I give it a B or at least in between a C because I thought it would have been more of a upgrade, but it's kind of like a little bit better than what we got right now. So that one was an okay signing in my opinion. I was looking for a JC Jackson or somebody more explosive that can get the ball and turn it over, but we get a guy that only had like 4 career interceptions, 2 picks, probably the least targeted guy in Kansas City, but maybe with a better pass rush group and better defense, maybe he could excel. So I'm kind of like skeptical a little bit about him. And then as far as like all the guys that just departure in free agency, Laken Tollenson, I expected him to go because of the price he was asking for. And then quite a few other guys we had in mind. And then DJ Jones, it was just going to be hard to retain him. So I knew from right there it was not going to be easy. So bringing back guys like Maurice Hurst Jr., which he's a bargain. Kevin Givens, a bargain if we bring him. And then we just signed a guy off the Eagles, Hassan Ridgeway, which he's decent, a decent rotation. So I give it at least a solid B, at least in my opinion. But as far as all the addressing throughout the offseason, like, I don't know. I give it a C because we weren't going quite splashy big guys. We weren't looking to improve since we lost to the Rams. So have we got better since losing to the Rams? No.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I forgot to talk about James Washington. When you put on James Washington, I like his physicality. He's big. He reminds me of a Michael Gallup who we currently have already. He's not a crisp route runner by any means, but he can get open and he has sure hands and he has good yak. So I like I do like that James Washington signing. I can't wait to see what he does, and the guy can block. So that helps the running game and things of that sort too. So I'm pretty excited to see what James Washington can bring to the football team.
Yeah, when you saw what James Washington did with the Steelers, yeah, he was one of those talented groups on their receiving group, but it was just like he was getting some of his touches, and then some of the guys like Deontay Johnson, Juju Swister, and Chase Claypool, man, that was too much of a receiver group. And at one point, I did like that James Washington coming out of Oklahoma State, and I liked that he was a good route runner, physical guy too. But he was definitely a. I thought for 1 second when you guys signed him, I'm like, okay, so I guess you guys filled that void left by Cooper. You got yourself another solid receiver, and then you just pay Michael Gallup that some good money. So what's the update on Gallup since he's tore his ACL? Like, when is he expected to? Is he expected to be in training camp or miss majority, like half the season or something?
Oh, he ain't gonna miss half the season. He'll probably miss about. He'll probably come back week 4. So he's not gonna get any training camp. He's not gonna get anything. Which the offense ain't changing. I mean, they'll probably do some things here because Mike McCarthy said he wants to get involved in the offense, but I'll believe that when I see it. Just because Kellen Moore is untouchable in Dallas, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I think, if James Washington and CeeDee Lamb and whoever they draft, because I really feel like they're going to draft somebody because you have to really replace Cedric Wilson. That guy was a Swiss Army knife. He played a big part in our offense with some big time plays. And so it'll be interesting to see how they replace that because Simi Fehoko won't be able to go in that role. So I think they're going to draft somebody, but I think James Washington and CeeDee Lamb can hold it down for the most part until Michael Gallup has to come back, probably week 4 or week 5.
Yeah, I guess you guys are looking to improve your depth wise. I mean, yeah, Cedric Wilson Jr., that guy was under the radar. He wasn't quite the most talked about, but man, the Miami Dolphins, I think he's going to be a pretty damn good receiver for them because they're going to figure out ways to use him. And this was probably like Cedric Wilson's best season by far as a Cowboy because I think he had 600 plus yards. I think he had like 6 touchdowns or something. But the interesting fun fact about Cedric Wilson Jr. is his dad used to play for the 49ers, and he was like one of our best returnmen at one point. At one point he was one of like our 4th best receivers, our punt returner guy. He was the one that kind of destroyed the Rams during that one game where he returned it for a touchdown. But right off the bat, you can tell Cedric Wilson had those DNA traits of making those catches here and there. But I know for perspective, as most Dallas fans, I know that they're probably saying, we'll find some guys to fill that role.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they are. I mean, Cedric Wilson, his problem with Cowboys was he was always injured. He always had some kind of injury. So, you can get a player that can stay healthy, which is, I mean, that's hard to do. But you can't replace all those trick plays and that switch. I mean, he punt returned, he kicked off return, he threw the ball, he ran jet sweeps, things of that sort. So, I mean, he was a big part of the offense. So it's going to be hard to replace, but I think they can do it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like, like speaking of some free agency, man, there's Cole Beasley just happened to get released by the Buffalo Bills. Any chance that the Cowboys maybe kick the tires or nah?
No, I think Cole Beasley in Dallas, that was a sour departure. He talked a lot of smack about them, and who doesn't? What player? I mean, Randy Gregory just did it too. So a lot of players leave Dallas, talk their smack or whatever. The front office, I really think they hear that kind of stuff and probably laugh it off. But I think Cole Beasley in Dallas is just too sour for him to come back.
Yeah, I guess some relationships for some sours. But who is one of your draft crush looking into the draft?
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me pull up my stuff here. My draft. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, like I said, the Notre Dame kid. I do like Kyle Hamilton. Linderbaum out of Iowa. I'm a big Linderbaum fan. I mean, that's a guard we come in here and go to work immediately. I do like the wide receiver Chris Olave out of Ohio State. David Ajobo. I know he's the one that just tore his Achilles, didn't he?
Yeah, during the pro day. Yep.
Yeah, I do like him, and Cowboys will probably take a chance on it because that's just what they do. They always use the second round to take chances on. Let's go back to offensive line here real quick. I do a lot of draft talk on the Frisco Report every Tuesday at 7. And then we do the Boys Corner with Boys for Life every Thursday at 8. Sorry if I'm dropping everything on you at once. Let's see. Charles Cross is another one that I like for offensive line. I do like McBride out of Colorado State, the big tight end there. I mean, I have a lot of, George Pickens, the receiver out of Georgia. Yes, he has a lot of injury. I think we can steal him in the second if they don't want to go get a Jobo. Sky Moore and Calvin Austin, the third, I really think are, if they want to bump CeeDee Lamb out to the outside, get Sky Moore or Calvin Austin, the third in here, I think that will really shore up our offense wide receiver depth.
Yeah, as far as like all the talents, like you just said, like, there's quite a few draft questions that got in my attention, but man, it's like there's a lot of good ones. Like as far as like the one guy I like, but I don't know if we're gonna draft him, but it could be best available, and I like the guy from Cincinnati, Alec Pierce. That he's got that speed wise. He's like that faster version of Cooper Kupp, can catch the ball, runs better routes. I mean, this guy is like he's got a 4.3 speed. I like that Christian Watson. It kind of makes sense to get him with Trey Lance. That chemistry. You're seeing it with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and Cincinnati. Now you're seeing Derek Carr and Adams reunite again like they did in Fresno State. Maybe it makes sense to bring those two together. Like those two in North Dakota, they were doing something pretty good. Then there's quite a few guys. Like Kobe Bryant from Cincinnati I like also. And then Marquise Hayes, one of my favorite Oklahoma players. I like the guy from Oklahoma. Then there's quite a few other guys. There's quite a few good players I like. The pass rusher, Nick Bonito is another guy I like. And then Isaiah Thomas is another good piece. And then there's this one guy I just interviewed. I interviewed on my show. He goes by the name of Spencer Buford from UTS. I got him on my show. He can play like the guard and tackle, which really fits what he does, and he plays nasty. I like this guy.
No, that's awesome. No, the guard out of Oklahoma, Marquise, I really think he reminds me of like a Ronald Leary. The guy's, I mean, he's just a bulker, just there moving pieces. I do like that guy out of Oklahoma too. I think if we get that left guard shore up, I think everything will fall in place because we got our right tackle in Terrence Steele. It's just that there's a big question mark at that left guard position. Marquise Hurst, Linderbaum, these guys can come in and make a big difference at that left guard position for us.
Yeah, there's some good offensive line drafts, no doubt. Like you got quite a few good pieces out there. Like especially if you need versatility, there's quite a few good guys out there. I mean, you got like I was saying, Spencer Buford can be one of those guys that can play in any spots in the guard or tackle. Maybe you can even kick him at center, but he's told me, like, I don't know, like if you probably check out the interview, he'll tell you that he's never actually was asked to play center before, but if he was asked to, he'd be more than open to do it.
Yeah.
So like as far as like all talent, man, there's some good draft prospects I definitely look forward to. But as far as like the Niners' biggest needs, like we definitely need to fill the void for edge rushers because a lot of our depth pieces are getting thin after quite a few guys have left. So D tackle, I like our depth. It's solid, but we need somebody to complement Bosa and somebody to rotate in. That would make more sense. I guess a safety would probably be the best need, even though we could bring back Jacoby Tart on a cheaper deal, but we'll see. Maybe we'll look to upgrade it. I don't know. Offensive line, like guard competition would be nice for Aaron Banks to compete for because Lincoln Tomlinson left. That does leave a void. We're not really sure about Aaron Banks being that starter, so we don't know. We got Jalen Moore. I think we tendered Daniel Brunskill, who can play all positions in the offensive line. He can play the center, the guard, and tackle spot. So he's played about everywhere.
No, man, improve your team, dude. Go get to another Super Bowl for sure. I mean, y'all, you were just there a couple of years ago. I like your guys' coaching staff, the Kyle Shanahan tree. It's definitely a blessing to have a coach like that. But we're going to sit here and still deal with Mike McCarthy, and we're still getting over Jason Garrett. And I can't tell the difference between the two of Mike McCarthy and Jason Garrett yet.
Well, the difference with Jason Garrett is he's a little skinnier, and Mike McCarthy's just a chunky one.
I'm talking about coaching.
Oh, coaching. Well, one does have a Super Bowl, and the other one just doesn't.
That Super Bowl was a long time ago. Yes, he has it. Not taking that away from him. But NFL history shows If they won a Super Bowl with the one team, they're not going to win it with another. I get it. 2 teams back-to-back won football Super Bowls in their own stadium, but head coaching is just a bit different because there's some cockiness when Mike McCarthy talks about that Super Bowl he won. He talks about it a lot. I just don't think he can get us there. So I need Kellen Moore gone, Mike McCarthy gone. I need to upgrade at quarterback, and I think we'll go Chase 6.
Oh, okay. So you're definitely looking to get that quarterback in the future, but I think Dak is stuck for the long haul, so we'll have to figure how that works. But as far as
3 more years on that deal, 3 more years.
3 more years? Damn, he got $40 million, and that's a lot.
Yeah, it'll be all right. We'll work through it. I just need Dak to be that bus driver. That's all I need him to do. If he can be the bus driver, I think he can get us to a Super Bowl. All I need him to do is just drive the bus, make the smart throws, hand the ball off, fix your offensive line, and go from there. I just need Dak to be a bus driver. I don't need him to be Tom Brady. I don't need him to be Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen. I need him to be Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what I need him to be.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, not the guy with the best stats, but he does get you the wins. He's not gonna put up the Dak numbers. Dak puts up the numbers more than Jimmy does. We
just can't beat good teams. That's it. We just can't beat good teams.
I guess for Cowboys, they are allergic of good football teams. Like,
one thing I hate too is noon games. God, I hate noon games. You never know how they're going to play during noon games. I hate noon games with passion.
Oh, noon games, like afternoon games? Oof.
Yeah, 12 o'clock games, Central Time. I hate them. I flipping hate them.
You know which games I hate the most is Thursday night games. Short weeks, injuries, stuff happens. And then on a short week, they kind of have a lag or something, man. Like, that's the one thing. Like, I like any games in personal, but not the Thursday night games. I just hate Thursday night games. Like, I get that it's good to play on a short week, but the injuries increase the schedule. Yeah.
And Cowboys know all about short weeks because we usually have about 3 games in an 11-day stretch, I think, around Thanksgiving. So I know all about short weeks.
Yeah, short weeks lead to injuries, or short weeks just lead to them being like not like as competitive. Like, I've seen it happen with my team where we play on a short week and we look like shit out there. Then the following week we just play like okay. It's like, I don't know. These short weeks are kind of tricky for me. Yeah. So like, that's one thing I don't like is those type of like Thursday night games, but it's kind of okay to watch, but not something I would like to watch all the time, But as far as like outside of football, a lot of stuff gets interesting, but not on a Thursday, man. I'd rather watch something better on a Thursday than watch football.
Yeah, for sure. No, give me football any day of the week. Just don't give me a noon game. That's how I am. Don't give me a noon game. I hate noon games.
For sure, man. So, like as far as like our team's expectations, I don't know. Like, it depends on what happens if we trade Jimmy first and how we build around. So we'll have to wait and see when it goes throughout the offseason. Maybe later on we can definitely collaborate once again. But I was going to give you the floor, and then you can introduce to the audience and tell them any other way to thank you and how they can find you too. And I'll just put you on the solo.
Oh, well, look at that. Thank you, sir. No, pleasure having me. I didn't even catch your name.
CG, bro.
CG? Okay. No, appreciate you, CG. Thanks for having me on. As soon as I seen the DM, I had to hop on it. I'm always looking to collab and talk X's and O's. _ Cowboys Corner on Twitter, guys. If you follow me, you'll see that I don't say what 80% of the fans say. And then Cowboys Corner right here on YouTube. If you watch those videos, I don't say what 80% of the Cowboy fans say either. Just keep it real, keep it authentic. That's what you'll find here with me. But no, keep rooting for your teams, whoever they are. Fanatics is for a reason. And, they make a lot of money on us for a reason, but it's good entertainment and it's a good thing to watch football. Great football and family, that's pretty important. Go Cowboys.
That's all good, bro. But hey, at least you're on the same boat with my family. But yeah, in all seriously, dude, like, it's a great debate. I know it's going on pretty good, man. Like, a lot of the football, dude, I can go on with football all day, bro. But yeah, a lot of stuff kind of comes into play. But you know what, man? I'm gonna put the solo, and then I'll put you. Wait, no, never mind. But yeah, dude, as far as everything else, dude, we'll definitely catch up some other time. Whenever you got the free time, bro. I see you on Boys for Life streaming and quite a few other content creators, man. I watch you every now and then,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
See what you guys say and see what different takes are. Sometimes I like to see what you say about certain players of your team who are free agents who might catch our attention. Sometimes,
it's funny because it's so funny because I've been on this platform for 8 years and people are like, "What are you talking about? That's not going to happen. This is going to happen." And then they come back and was like, "How did you know that?" So just because you got to come with the open mind. Don't look at the rainbows and unicorns. Just look what's there in black and white. And Cowboy fans, sometimes they miss that. And it is what it is. But if you want black and white content, cut straight to the point, come follow Cowboys Corner right here on YouTube.
Yeah, guys, check out Cowboys Corner's channel. It's right down in the description. But as always, CG Ruthless Sports and Cowboys Corner is out. And you already know, go Niners.